Welcome back. As we earlier said, we're going to be shedding light over the Egyptian participation at the annual conference of U.S. Tour Operator Association, or USTWA, that was held in Marco Island in Florida in the United States of America. To shed more light, we're very delighted to be joined live over the phone by Dr. Yehya Abdul, the Tourism Council for the Ministry of Tourism. Good morning, Dr. Abdul.
Good morning, Ms. Dina.
How are you doing? Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year. And of course, we need first to have a prior definition to USTWA. What exactly is USTWA, and so that we can delve into the event itself?
Well, the United States Tour Operators Association represents major hotel corporations, airlines, tour operators, and international cruise lines of the USA.
Yes.
They generate 150 million visitors per year, 80 million incoming and 70 million outgoing. And it has been very active, and Egypt has been participating in its conventions and conferences for the past 50 years.
Right. So what about the participants of this edition, this year's edition? Are they from the several states in the United States of America, or several neighboring countries? What exactly is the criteria to join this particular event?
Well, personally, I attended it when I was, at the Los Angeles tourist office. It was held in Hawaii. So every year it is held in one of the states to promote, travel all over the 50 states of the United States of America. And it represents, major hospitality and tourism activities in the U.S., as I said, hotels, airlines, cruises, and tour operators. And there are about 200 of them, which really generates a large volume of travel per year. And then they invite, tourism offices, worldwide to come, because they exchange, the incoming and outgoing. And that's why Egypt has been active participating for the past 50 years.
Right. So if you could shed light over the Egyptian participation in this edition, this year's edition of the event.
Well, Egypt on average received 200,000 visitors from the USA, and really it is one of the lucrative markets, because it is, a very estimated and well-organized tours, and many of them, about 80% of the business, is geared towards, culture, heritage, and archaeological tourism, and most of them, they take night cruises over the Nile, between Luxor and Aswan and Abu Simbel. So it's an excellent market for Egypt, and generates excellent business and strong ties, for tourism, hospitality, and airlines as well. So Egypt, once upon a time we had 4 tourism offices in the U.S. market, New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago and Houston. So now the only ties is through the conventions and meetings, like the participation in the Florida US2A, that was like around 10 days ago.
Right. When we talk about Egypt participation, Dr. Yehya, we talk about a country that is a tourism tycoon, an empire of tourism, owns 1/3 of the world monuments, a hub for culture, for monuments, for history that dates back to 7,000, more than 7,000 years back. So Egypt is not just any country participating, and it's not a normal participation. So do you think this participation is going to introduce Egypt in its real weight to the world, so that the people participating in the world could recognize the good opportunities for vacations and for tourism in a country like Egypt? Do you think this is enough, or the program that Egypt is participating with could be able to explain the richness of history in Egypt to the world?
Well, this is quite true, because, the officials of the Ministry of Tourism tourism promotion officers has been, as I said, over the past 50 years, they attended the USTOA and the exchange, like business, and the facilities between Egypt and, like the airlines, the hotel corporations, the tour operators to generate, business year-round. But as I already mentioned, 75 to 80% of the traffic to Egypt is geared towards heritage, archaeology, and history, and like cultural tourism, like visiting museums and temples and sites. And we have a great ties with the U.S. We have the American Research Center, like which promotes and finances projects in Egypt, like to upgrade and sustain its monuments and attractions and antiquities. And then there's the U.S. museums. Some of them, they house around 45,000 artifacts from Egypt. Like in the Metropolitan, like the Los Angeles Country Museum, Pennsylvania, and the universities. I visited many universities in Egypt, and it's amazing. Every university has an Egyptian museum. So you can imagine the volume of recognition of Egypt in the U.S. continent. That's why we have excellent ties and great promotion of tourism between two countries.
Of course, and without even participation in conferences, Egypt is already existing on the touristic map strongly, but I mean, business like tourism usually needs a modern update to cope with the new momentum, and you understand, of course. So talking like a participation in this conference, do you think conferences like that is going to promote for the Egyptian tourism market, is going to attract more types of visitors and not the regular type? Because as we know that there are many types of tourism in Egypt. Probably all the types of tourism in the world are located in Egypt. So do you think that conferences and participations like that could attract visitors for all types of tourism?
Definitely yes, because like there is updates, like currently, like around the clock. For example, like everybody expecting the grand opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum, like airlines, auto corporations, tour operators, and even visitors of luxury cruises worldwide. Travel writers, media. So this is a great event that, like the whole world has been anticipating for the past 10 years now. And again, we have, like new developments of resorts, hotels, recreation facilities, like all over the Red Sea, Alamein, and Southern Sinai as well. So all these developments and updates generate, like business and changes, like many of the factors in the travel equation, like ranking and facilities and attractions and rates and seasonality and facilities. So that's why we need constantly to attend major travel participation and events and functions like the USTOA and the ASTA as well, American Society of Travel Agents. So we need to be, like active in this market. Especially we don't have, like a permanent representation of tourism promotion in the U.S. market.
Right. Of course, American tourists are among the many types of tourists. Each culture would require a different place to visit, a different type of tourism and all that, etc. So what favorite places is attracting the American tourists, and what do they prefer to see in Egypt?
Well, really, there is great tours, like throughout the spring and winter and fall season, because, like temperature is mild and it's very convenient for them. And as I said, they love, like to go to the museums over the U.S., and then they love to come to Egypt to see the real thing. And that's why most of them, they prefer to take night cruises, between, like Luxor and Aswan and Abu Simbel Temple, beyond the dam even. And they spend time in Cairo. They visit the museums, the State Museum, the Cairo Museum in Tahrir. And they visit the Islamic Center, the Salah ad-Din Castle. They go to the Coptic Museum. And so they love to make, like a mix of all the attractions and heritage that Egypt represents.
As we are speaking, of course, it's approaching Christmas and New Year, and most of the European and American tourists, they, save their vacations for countries like Egypt with the warm weather, with the sunny, beautiful days, and of course exciting and authentic places to visit and all that. So with the Christmas time, do you think we need to work over preparations, updating our preparations to expect American tourists and European ones?
Yes, throughout my experience that we receive more European tourists, like to come and spend, the New Year holidays in Egypt and Christmas celebrations. Like Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year in the U.S. is like a family event when they get together, and celebrate. But a good number of them, they love to spend it, abroad, and they love to come to Egypt and spend, Christmas Eve and New Year, especially, in Upper Egypt between Luxor and Aswan.
Right. On this note, of course, Dr. Yehya Abdul, you are a consultant of tourism to the Ministry of Tourism. Thank you so much for talking to us on The Breakfast Show, and you have a good day. And by this, we come to the end of this edition of The Breakfast Show. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again tomorrow morning, that's a goodbye.